Alright, so we are completely talking about something different. We're talking about planning a budget. And, whether you want to believe it or not, all your parents do this. So let's explore a family budget. We need to talk about some vocabulary first. First, a family budget is a financial plan based on the amount of money needed to live. So a family budget is basically a plan determined by how much money you need in order to live. How much money does your family need in order to keep going on? Alright, this family budget, it has to meet or exceed the total family expenses. Remember, expenses is how much money you spend. So you have to either make enough to pay for how much money you spend, or you have to make more than what you want to spend. Because if you make less than what you spend, you're gonna be in debt. You're gonna have negative money. Alright, now determining what could affect a budget. There's 3 things at least that affect it. The number of children. Think about it. The more siblings you have, the more mouths your parents have to feed, the more clothes they have to buy. So the number of children affects it. Employment benefits. That's your insurance. So depending on whether the company pays for employment benefits or insurance, did you guys know you have to pay for health insurance? You have to pay for dental insurance. If you have bad eyes, you have to pay for eye insurance. Okay, so depending on who pays for that also depends on that. And also, where do you live? Different places in Texas cost less to live than other places do. So, for instance, I went to school in Lubbock. Lubbock is a lot less expensive than Dallas-Fort Worth is. So, I would make a lot more money living in Lubbock because everything costs less. So, let's talk about our family budget. Alright, for instance, we have this example. I covered up some stuff. Example 1 says we need to fill out 1 through 7 on the chart. Highlighted is what you don't have on your paper, so we're going to talk about the Jones family. We got that by looking over here. The Jones family, they live in Beaumont. That's a place in Texas. I gave that to you. They have 2 parents. They have 2 children. And when it says employer paid insurance, yes or no, this means that their employer does pay their insurance. So we need to fill in 1 through 7, the white ones. So housing, minimum monthly budget estimate. So how much did they pay for housing? Well, you're going to use your table over here. You're always going to be given a table when you have to make this. How much money, what was their minimum estimate? Well, you look over here where it says housing, you have $593. So all you have to do is $593. We're using our information over here to fill in our chart over here, and that's really it. This is super simple. So when it says food, you look for food in your chart, your monthly expenses. Well, I see food right here, so I see that it's $491. Alright, childcare. How much did they spend on childcare? That means how much money did they pay like babysitters? They paid $594 each month for a babysitter. Holy moly, that's a lot of money. Medical costs. They paid $462 for medical costs. I bet you could fill out the rest of this on your own. So pause the video and fill it out on your own. Alright, transportation was $322. And other necessities was $309. Now, total federal tax impact. I'll give you a hint. To find the total federal tax impact, find the sum of the federal taxes and the federal tax credits. So this can be a negative number. Alright guys, so I know I'm going to have to find the sum, which means adding. It says federal taxes. So you look in your chart, I see that federal taxes are right here. This is 282. So 282 plus, you need to add the federal tax credits. Well, federal tax credits is right here. See this minus sign in front of it? That means it's a negative number. So we have negative 345. This looks funky. I have a positive and a negative. I think to myself, when I have a positive and negative, my signs are different. So when my signs are different, I've got to find the difference. So if you find the difference, 345 minus 282, you get $63. But I know it doesn't stop there, because when your signs are different, you do find the difference, which is what we did, but you keep the sign of the bigger number. Which number is bigger? Good. 345, so we're going to keep our negative sign. It's negative $63. Alright, so look at number 2. We're going to go down to number 2. And number 2 says, what is the combined household hourly wage for the Joneses? Okay, so we look. What is a combined household hourly wage? Remember, we can use our table. So it says necessary monthly income. We don't want that. This says household hourly wage. So they need to make $16. Okay, what does this mean if both parents are looking for a job? And Mr. Jones finds a job that pays $10 per hour. So I'm going to uncover this for y'all. This says, with this $16, that represents what is a combined hourly wage. So we answered that. It means if Mr. Jones found a job paying $10 an hour, Mrs. Jones needs to find a job paying at least $6 an hour. Because if he's making $10 and she's making $6, you add them together and that's $16. And that's exactly as much as they need in order to keep their family afloat. Keep their family afloat means to stay in the nice house they have, to buy all the nice things that they have. So that's what that means. In order to have everything go just the way it is right now, they have to make $16 an hour. Alright, number 3 says, the Joneses earned $600 more each month than the necessary income. So they made $600 more than they needed in order to survive. So they had a little bit of play money. But it also says this allows them to save for, because they're smart, they want to save for retirement, emergencies, and college. So then it says complete the chart for 8 through 10. Alright, well it says retirement savings. They took 9% of the monthly income. I see a percentage. Now when I see a percentage, I know I'm supposed to do something with it. Alright, so we're talking about this 9%, and I know that when I see a percent sign, I do part over whole is equal to percent over 100. I know that my 100 is my gimme. My 9 is my percent, because it says it right here. Whoop, sorry. My 9 is my percent, because it says it right here. So, all I need, I'm solving for my P, all I need is my whole. Okay, so let's think about this. They make $600 more each month than the necessary monthly income. So they make $600 plus their monthly income. If you looked at your table up here, their monthly income was $2,708. So $2,708. If you added those together, you would get $3,308. Alright, now I got that by simply adding my necessary monthly income, so how much they have to make, plus the $600 of like little play money that they have. So they took 9% and you cross multiply, you get 100p. If you multiply these two together, pause it and multiply them together and see what you get. If you multiply them together, you should have got 29,772. Now, to isolate your variable, you have to divide by your coefficient. What you do to one side, you have to do the other. Now, dividing by 100 is the same thing as moving your decimal place 2 places to the left. So, that's my little shortcut. So, they save on retirement, they save about $298. We're going to round up because that extra change is a little bit unnecessary. So they're going to save $298 for retirement. Now you're going to do these for 9 and 10, same process. This one's easy because look, $10 or $30 per child. How many children do they have? They have 2 children. So they're going to save $60 for college. Now you work on number 9. Alright, you should have done the same monthly income, which was $3,308 over or under P is equal to what over 100? Well, you see your percent sign, so we know it's 3 over 100. Now, if you cross multiplied, times 3 is equal to 9,924 is equal to 100p. Divide by your coefficient. Divide by your coefficient. P is equal to $99.24, which rounds down to $99. Now, that was a ton of work. I totally understand. We're going to look at this a little bit more. If you have questions, please make a note and ask your teacher tomorrow. This is all new information that we're learning. Alright, this is the last part though. Flip over. Did you know, we kind of talked about this earlier, did you know that living in different parts of the country or the state can mean different budgets for even the same family? We talked about living in different parts of the state. Remember, I lived in Lubbock for a little bit versus living in DFW. This is because housing is more expensive. Housing is way more expensive in Dallas, Fort Worth than it is in Lubbock. So it definitely costs me less to live in Lubbock. And transportation costs are generally higher in bigger cities because most people live in the suburbs and have a farther commute to work. So they have to go further, so they pay more gas. Alright, so what we're looking at is we're comparing two cities. This is what your project is going to be on tomorrow. It's super exciting. So we're comparing Beaumont and Dallas Fort Worth. So let's look at it. Where is it more expensive to live? It's definitely more expensive to live in Dallas. What else do you notice? The food is about the same. Alright, the childcare. Who has more expensive childcare? Yeah, Dallas has more expensive childcare. Medical costs are the same. Ooh, transportation's also the same. Beaumont's like a really small town. So, other necessities, it's more expensive to live in Dallas as well. So, the total monthly expenses. To find the total monthly expenses, you have to add all these numbers up. So, add all those numbers up. If you added them up correctly, you should have got that your total monthly expenses in Dallas was $3,518. Whoa, that's a huge difference. That's almost $1,000 difference. Alright, well, your federal taxes and federal tax credits, remember, to find those, you have to go back to the front. The front says, in order to find that, your total federal tax impact, you find the sum of the federal taxes and the federal tax credits. So, you find the sum, we added these two together, and we got that, so now we need to add these two together to get this. 492 plus a negative 267. Your signs are different, so you find the difference, which is 225. Which number is bigger? Well, 492 is bigger, so it's going to be positive. Okay, alright, so in order to find the total required income, you have, this answer was 225, right? You have to pay this to the government, but you have to have this in order to live. So in order to find the total required income, you have to add your total expenses plus how much you have to pay the government. And if you add these two numbers together, you're going to get $3,743. Now, look at Beaumont. In Beaumont, you have to make $16 an hour in order to live, but in Dallas, you have to make $22 an hour. That's so much more money a month. Okay, that's 22 minus 16. What is that? $6 an hour? That's a lot. Alright, so compare the cost of living in Beaumont to the cost of living in Dallas Fort Worth. Well, we kind of talked about that. It's more expensive to live in DFW. The housing and the childcare increased. We saw that substantially. That means by a lot. And the food and the medical costs did not change. Alright, we definitely are going to be talking about this a lot, especially before our project tomorrow. So I will talk to you in a second because we're watching this in class. Bye.